Get right in. Do not leave meeting. Got it. Welcome, everyone. I will start first with our land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that we gather, even virtually, on the traditional land of the Kumeyaay peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who stewarded it throughout the generations. My name is Aaron Bullard, and I'm a board member of the Choral Consortium of San Diego, here running this month's Conductor Conversations with you. The Choral Consortium of San Diego is a service organization composed of choruses and individuals who support the choral art form throughout San Diego County. We have this event this evening, and our next upcoming event is bringing back beer choir on Tuesday, February 15th. That'll be in person at Ale Smith, safety permitting, at 7 p.m. So we hope to see you all there as well. If you enjoy tonight's program and other programs like beer choir and enjoy supporting the choral art form throughout San Diego, please consider donating to us. Choral Consortium San Diego is a nonprofit, so you can find that link both in the Zoom chat if you're here live, as well as in the YouTube description if you're catching us later. So I'm going to introduce our two conductors tonight, or have them introduce themselves rather. First, we're going to start with Juan. Please go ahead and give a little introduction.
Yeah, my name is Juan Carlos Acosta, and my pronouns are he, him, and I am the director of worship now at Village Community Presbyterian Church in Rancho Santa Fe, and the artistic director for Sacra Profana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arian Khaefi, and I'm the Director of Choral Studies at San Diego State University. And this year, the interim chorus, conductor of the chorus for the La Jolla Symphony Chorus.
Excellent.
Pronouns are he, him.
Thank you so much. And just one last little bookkeeping. If you, we will take audience questions. If you want to go ahead and privately message either me or Carol, and Carol can get the questions to me. We will have a couple audience questions at the end here, but we start with the most closest upcoming birthday will ask the first question. And so I believe is Arian. Take it away.
Okay. All right. So Juan, what is the best Mexican food place in San Diego? It's going to be a very serious.
Gosh, I mean, how much time do we have? Because I feel like I might be a little bit of a connoisseur for a very specific genre of Mexican food, and that would be the taco shop burrito. And so, but we're not going to go that route. I'm just going to go with my overall favorite, because then we could go a bunch of different directions. But my overall favorite would be TJ Oyster Bar in Bonita. That one to me is like.
Why is that one your favorite place?
Well, I'm pescatarian in the last 2 years, and they're like, the menu options they have there are just amazing. Like the food is fresh. It's just fantastic. So that would be.
Is it a small kind of family run kind of place, or is
it used to be like it used to be about the size of my office, like the original place, and then they opened up a second one just down the road, like 2 blocks down the road. That's like got a bar and like table service and all that stuff now. So yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Brilliant. Okay, so the format is that now I will answer this question, and I'm nervous about this. I'm very, very nervous. No, not about this question, just about this in general,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. There are no, I know, but the tendency for these things is to try and be very clever with your answers, and so let's just not be clever. Let's not at all be clever and sort of very. All right, so the best Mexican place in San Diego, Mexican food place. I mean, I will preface all of my answers right now with the fact that I've been in San Diego for 2.5 years, so explicitly during pandemic, which means that I just have not been able to get out very much and go to places and like explore this fantastic place. So my favorite Mexican restaurants right now consist of like Ponce's I think it's on Adams. Really, where else have I been? Like I've been to Old Town. I've tried a lot of the Mexican restaurants in Old Town. They're pretty fantastic, but I have not been able to I haven't been able to do a deep dive onto like what I'm sure is really like brilliant, authentic food in San Diego. So I would be happy to take any of your recommendations on that one.
Oh yeah, we should definitely do a tour. And I was gonna say, we are all sitting in judgment of your Mexican food. I feel like that's something we do in San Diego.
Yeah,
Like we judge, it's, you know, we judge people by their favorite taco shop, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's all good. Okay.
I had some great food trucks that I loved in LA. Like that was my thing. Like 2 a.m, you're really hungry, and the food truck is down the street, and you'd hit that. But I haven't found that here yet. So.
Yeah. I feel like food trucks didn't really take in San Diego. It was a thing for a bit, but I feel like it didn't take. So yeah. I mean, they're still around, but it's not like in LA, you have like food truck gatherings. Like I remember rolling up on Amoeba Records in Hollywood, and down the street, like 10, like both sides of the street, at least 10 food trucks. I was like, what is this?
Right.
You know, so
also, if you're mentioning Amoeba Records on Hollywood, you're dating yourself, because that is no longer there.
No.
Wait a minute. Wait, I think it's no longer there. I think they closed down Amoebas, but we're all on a computer. I'm sure we can check.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody will tell us. Okay. So the next question is, what upcoming project are you most excited about?
My colleague has texted me and moved to a new location. Okay. What upcoming project are my most, I'm really excited for a world premiere that SDSU students are doing with Argentinian composer Esteban Tozzi on a piece called Desaparecido. And we are, with the La Jolla Symphony Chorus, we're doing a piece after Haydn's Lord Nelson Mass coming up in March, beginning of March, actually. We kind of go into this, our last choral concert of the year, which we haven't, we're just kind of starting to branch out into chorus specific concerts, like the chorus is having their own activities. And that's something that has been done in the past, and we're starting to do that again. And this piece by Melissa Dunphy, who is a Philadelphia-based composer, called "What Do You Think I Fought in Omaha Beach For?" And it's that whole concert is, it's about kind of how best to describe this, like the banality of dogma. It's like about how people choose to express dogmatic beliefs, and how this kind of dogma and dogmatic thought sits on our hearts, and we tend to kind of interact with the world in these kind of really narrow, myopic ways sometimes, that whether it's about religion or sexuality or what have you. And so I tried to build a concert that addresses that a little bit. So that piece, then the kind of centerpiece is Randall Thompson's Peaceable Kingdom. So yeah, I'm very excited about that performance.
Cool. So I've two big projects working on right now. The first one will be a collaboration with Martin Luther King Choir and Saga Profana. Saga Profana is going to be doing Voyage Through Death to Life Upon These Shores by Anthony Davis. Anthony recently won the Pulitzer Prize for his opera, The Central Park Five. He's a UCSD composer, and this is a piece we've done in the past. I believe we're only like the 6th or 7th choir ever to do this piece, and the first choir to revisit it. And it's a 25-minute a cappella secular cantata in the octatonic mode. So it's essentially atonal. And it's just a really, really profound piece. It's depicts the middle passage of the captive Africans in their journey to the North America in slavery. And so it's very, very powerful work. And then combining with the Martin Luther King Choir really helps kind of set the whole picture and the whole stage for that. So excited about that. That'll be at the end of February. And then we perform that piece again at the ACDA regional conference in Long Beach in March. So that's going to be really special for us. And then Village Church is doing our first concert of the season, is going to be Duke Ellington's Sacred Concert with the Rancho Santa Fe Big Band. So that's pretty cool.
That's not done so often.
No. I saw Kansas City Chorale do it in Kansas City, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. We could definitely do this piece. So yeah.
Do you discuss any of this rep with your ensemble members before selecting it? Is it any kind of democratic process, especially in Saga Profana?
No, not so much. What I do is, well, I mean, typically in the past, we've gotten like a little team together to kind of vision the upcoming season, and we just kind of throw out ideas. I try to do a big picture vision for the season. I really like thematic programming, not so much because like I think that, you know, you have to stick to a theme, but it helps kind of narrow our focus and give us something to really focus in on, and then pieces out there, because there's just so much great music out there that it helps kind of keep us focused on stuff. So that's usually what we do. Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's see. Got it. Okay. Juan, who or what inspired you to pursue music?
That's a good question, of course. I probably, like most people, I don't even remember an initial inspiration. I just feel like I was always hardwired to do music. The story goes that my mom was, yeah,
the mythos.
Yeah, the story goes like, yeah, the origin story here, that my mom was learning to play guitar when she was pregnant with me. So like the body of the guitar would rest on her belly as she was like learning to play. And so like I feel like music was in me, you know, from the very beginning. And some of my earliest memories are like setting up a tape recorder and recording like "We Are the World" like by myself a cappella, and it's just, you know, like that kind of thing. So I feel like it was always there. And then I think, I mean, I think that there's obviously, you know, folks along the way who have inspired me and kind of make me go in new directions or help me keep going in the same direction. And those are almost like too long to, you know, to list, you know. So how about you?
Well, just to follow up, was there another direction that you would have possibly taken if it were not this one?
You know, it's basically no. I mean, like, you know,
I mean musically. I mean, so if you hadn't gone into vocal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually entered SDSU as I tried to do double major as both vocal and instrumental music, but you know, that's not really possible. They won't let you take, you know, lessons on both. You can't do that kind of thing. And so when I was in high school, I mean, like growing up, I gravitated towards guitar. That was like my first kind of like main instrument. I took piano lessons. I played in like elementary band with the saxophone and stuff like that. And then when I got to high school, I jumped into the drum line because all my friends in my ska band were in marching band. And so they were like, well, come join marching band. And I'm like, there's no guitars in marching band. They're like, well, you could play in the pep band. You could play guitar in the pep band. And then like, and you could play drums in marching band. So I was like a percussionist in high school, and like honor band and honor orchestra, all that stuff. And then wanted to do that in college, but I was already getting scholarship money and gigs doing vocal music. And it was pretty clear that I was more at home in vocal music than instrumental.
Okay, I guess we're gonna just gloss over the fact that you were in a ska band, but we can come back to that in a moment.
Yeah,
in a moment.
Aaron, see what you can do here. Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, so Steven Sturck is saying yes. I mean, my first real formal musical training was as a boy chorister at St. Paul's. I did that in third and in fifth grade, 2 different stints, and that was, you know, until kids started making fun of me because I would like draw pictures of choristers, and they're like, why are those boys wearing dresses, you know, type of thing, that elementary school kids make fun of you for. That was like, and like I have very strong memories of like singing the Stanford Mag and C, you know, at baseball games and stuff like that. So like I was just like, you know, just weird.
You were a Stanford kid, then you weren't a Howells kid. All right.
I'm
learning all about you, Juan.
That's right.
Supportive parents.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom played piano in our church, my dad's church. My dad's was Episcopal priest, and I wanted piano lessons like very early, but she didn't want to teach me, which like now having my own kids, I'm like, that's probably a good idea that she didn't teach me, but just because it's hard for parents to do that. But I did eventually get piano lessons, not as early as I wanted to, but you know, that's life. So yeah.
Well, for me, I grew up in a really musical family, but none by trade. So none of them vocationally musicians. Iranians are really, I guess, musical people, for lack of a better way of putting that. And so there's constantly music playing in the house, and there's, you know, someone is reading poetry. So standard Iranian party. You get together, you have dinner, you dance, you know, you put on music, everyone dances. I have more memories than I care to relive of someone dragging me out into the middle of the living room to dance, you know, and then you sit around and people recite poetry, and just kind of this like very like 17th, like 18th century French table politics of being able to like have witty rapport and banter with one another through poetry, and then you sing and you listen to music and you play instruments and you grab pots and pans and you do like, so it's a very musical. It's a very musical culture, and is so I grew up in that, and I guess I grew up making sounds and making noises all the time, which kind of drove the people around me a little insane, and drives my wife a little crazy now too. But I didn't really do anything formally with music. I mean, my parents tried to put me into piano lessons, but I was far too hyper to sit at the keyboard and actually have a practice ethic. And so that changed to swimming, you know, swim team and swim lessons, which was, I guess, more along with like where my energy could be. And then I really didn't touch music until I was in high school, and I started doing high school musical theater. And at my high school, like at so many high schools, the director of the choirs, you know, would also help out with the musical theater. And so she poached me. She jumped out at me from a bush one day and said, "You need to you need to join the choirs." And so I did, and I started singing with the choirs, and that was home. That was the first time I remember I've found my tribe. And so she was one of the first kind of big influences. Gloria McCulley, by the way, who disappeared off the face of the earth. Literally police line around her home. She disappeared and vanished. Later on, we found out that she became the minister of cultural minister of music in Barbados. So she completely ditched us, and so my friend and I like took, for all intents and purposes, took over the choral program at our high school for a year, and then I met who would become my kind of future mentor at UCLA, and that was, you know, that was Don Nguyen, and so goes the progression of master's to doctorate and to now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh man, so much more there to unpack, but yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, I forget whose turn is it to ask.
I think you have to ask.
Okay, great. That gives me time to think about this question. So, what has been your best purchase for $100 or less?
Oh God. Okay. Best purchase for $100 or less.
I know, I was like thinking about like looking around the room. Yeah.
Help. What? Okay. I'm trying to. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything that I've.
Yeah, I know.
That I've purchased that has had value. See, this is one of those clever answers. I don't think I've purchased anything that has that much value that I can think of right now. Why don't you go ahead on that one?
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean,
come back to me.
Yeah. So the Libby's prompting us with like good.
Yeah. Thank you, Libby.
Questions. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I know. So that was going to be my answer, Aaron. That was going to be my answer. Yeah, I was going to draw it out. Okay. So it's like I was trying to think of like, okay, what things have I bought like that were really like the best value, and I was like, no, that's dumb. Like what things have like totally changed my life? Fourscore has changed my life, and I think it was like $4.99 as an app purchase when I purchased it back in like 2010, 2011. I was doing a workshop in DC, and there was just way too much music to like carry in binder or whatever. And so like, I just got the Fourscore app, and I was like, yeah. So, oh, you got it. Okay. All right. Go. Ready, go.
It's here too. Okay. This is my very beat up first score that I ever purchased. And I remember this is a Mozart Requiem score, and it's a Dover, and it's, you know, full of errata. And I went to the Barnes and Nobles that is no longer in Westwood Village, and I was in high school, and I really wanted to buy this score. I think because I had long story. My grandmother had passed away, and I went to my aunt's house, and I opened the door, and she was there. It was the day I took the SATs or something, and I went to her home, opened the door, and everyone's in black, everyone's weeping, and there's candles all over the place. And so no one had told me that my grandmother had passed away. So they were playing this music was in the background, and it was Mozart's Requiem, and I didn't know what it was, but I just kind of sat there, and it was one of those sort of very first really kind of formative musical experiences, that you just kind of out of body, and you're experiencing this thing for the first time, and it's like resonating with every cell in your body. And so I learned what that piece was. Oh, it's a Requiem. I don't know what that is, by Mozart. Okay, fine. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought this score, and it was $8.95, and I carried it with me everywhere. I didn't even know how to read music, but I would open the score on the bus, and I would kind of look through all the parts and try to begin to like decode this language. And it's got all of my notes from my early days in choir, and all of my notes. So yeah, this is definitely the best item I ever bought under $100. I think it set me on the path to choral music in some ways.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely had a similar like purchase of the Mussorgsky pictures at an exhibition, because our marching band was doing that. I think maybe my senior year must have been, and then I went and like people were like, you guys are marching to concert, like legit concert music. And they're like, what do you do like about the 5/4? And I was like, 5/4, and so I was so disappointed to find out that like our marching band arrangement had been like. It was a band description, as they call it, and so like I had to go out and find the real score and find out what the music really was supposed to be, and then I tried to like do an arrangement for band based on the Rimsky-Korsakov, and I was way in over my head because transposing like for E-flat saxophones from cellos and stuff, it was just not working. So
okay, so what would your marching band like choreography chart look like for pictures at an exhibition?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, I would say probably as recently as maybe
if you had to create it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Marching band has gotten so crazy now that they have like these like, and it's been, I mean, these have been around for 20 years now, but these like apps where you can plot out the shapes you want, and then it will fill in the gaps and tell you like, okay, second clarinet player needs to march 20 feet diagonally this way, that kind of thing. So it's just like, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I feel like I would try to like create other works of art. Like, it would be very representational, would not be abstract. So anyway.
Gates of Kiev.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Okay. I think our next question is like way back up there.
So. I know we've been yammering. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Arian asks, this is a good one. We could get into this for a while. Favorite San Diego venue to perform in?
Okay. So
I'm going to leave the second part of this question out, which is worldwide venue, but I want to hear your answer for this first part.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like I've probably performed in as many or most of the venues that are out there. And
let me get my notepad. Excuse me a moment.
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna go off the beaten path here and say that certainly the most memorable experience that I've ever had was filming a video for Folklore Guild in a mausoleum. So it was, there's this giant mausoleum right off the 94 freeway, just east of the 805. I forget the name of the cemetery there. And so we filmed a video in there, and like, I swear that it like smelled vaguely of formaldehyde, in there. And it was, and the acoustics were pretty great. So I would say that one is pretty high up there. I think in many ways, like St. Paul's Cathedral is probably going to be my favorite, just because like, I literally was, I grew up being put to bed in the nursery there, and then like singing there as a boy, and then I got married there. So, I have what my wife calls emotional residue with that place. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so where's your favorite place in San Diego to perform?
Okay.
That's not really a fair question, I think, at this point, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I've been to a few places. The Centro Cultural actually was quite beautiful. We did this project with National Conservatory of Mexico and um, a professional choir in Mexico called Coro Acardenchado. Juan Pablo Villa conducts that choir, and we were doing a project on cardenche songs, which cardenche is this like kind of cactus thorn that wounds you really deeply when you are stuck with it. And so these are all songs about kind of longing and pain and kind of migration allegory and things of that nature. And so we did this film project with Juan Pablo, and we did it in the Centro Cultural, and the sort of that space and the sort of murals around it. And it's, if you don't know, it used to be my understanding is it used to be a water silo, like a water drum, that was converted, and in sort of Chicano Park at the kind of center of a lot of Chicano politics here in San Diego and at the border. So that was a really beautiful space to be in. Beautiful acoustic, and you would imagine like something that close to, because it adjoins Balboa Park, and you'd think like something that close to the airport would be a lot of plane traffic, but not really. So yeah,
That's cool.
but not so much for the, again, it was a good acoustic, but I don't think that's my favorite.
That's awesome.
Put them in the chat. I want to know all about all of these places.
Yeah, totally. Sacra Profana we covered Prince's Purple Rain top to bottom, like the whole thing in various arrangements, and we performed it there at the center, and it was fantastic. So that's a cool piece.
When was that?
At least 5 years ago, I think.
Okay.
So it's been a minute. Yeah. Okay, so we've got another question. I think we overstepped Aaron's second part of that question, but that's okay. If you could snap your fingers and immediately alter one thing about the choral arts profession system in San Diego, what would you alter? Ooh.
I would have like some miraculous tectonic event that makes the state smaller and like makes us able to go to each other's things. That's a tricky one, because the state is so large. It's really difficult to manage. But I think I would, between SCVA and CMEA and ACDA and CCDA, like it would be really nice if there were one professional organization under which the state could operate, and that could like coordinate dates and events and like festival choirs and honor choruses and things like that, so that we're not, and the state does a really good job of, for the most part, not stepping on each other's toes in that way. But we miss things sometimes because dates overlap, as you know. And yeah, I think that's what I would in my dreams change, that there was one umbrella organization that managed the state.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like a friend used to call it the Orange Curtain, Orange County. And like, I have so many friends in LA, so many colleagues up there. And yet I rarely make it up to the things that they're going, because, with traffic, even though LA is like, can be close, it can also be like, basically, I mean, it's a half-day trip no matter what. So it's like, it's just a bit of a bummer, compared to many other places. But so I definitely think if I could snap and make LA and just the whole state closer, I mean, that'd be awesome, because there are a lot of great things going on in California right now. I think a lot of people that maybe have not been to ACDA, like national conference, aren't aware that there's some really heavy hitters in Southern California. I think like we kind of think of ourselves as like backwoods compared to like, the Midwest or the Northeast sometimes, but there's some like really great choral, schools and organizations in Southern California in particular that are just like, I wish they were closer. So that's That's a good thing. Like if I could snap my fingers and change one thing about San Diego scene in particular, um, I would almost say that like I wish there were more um, more uh, more diverse opportunities for post-school singing. I feel like um, you know like there's some professional groups, there's the large symphonic groups, there's church choirs, and then we've seen some emergence of groups like Encore, and they do like primarily like musicals and stuff like that. But I'd love to see like more kind of engagement, like in a diverse kind of hitting up more different types of music across the swath of what choral music can be, because I think that's pretty cool. So anyway.
Do you think San Diego has a sort of general populace that's ready to embrace that?
No, I mean, probably not. I mean, I forget what the old adage is, but it's basically like a golf and beach town. I feel like in terms of like, obviously we're talking to the people who have completely bought in. We're talking to the choir, if you've made it this far in our broadcast here, but like in terms of like what there is to support that kind of thing. Yeah, there's probably not the interest and the crowds and, like that, the donors and stuff like that can support it. So as a roundabout way, I would say, if I could snap one thing, it would be more support for the choral arts, I guess. So thank you for helping me clarify that answer, because I like that one better.
Yeah. I didn't see. I thought it was in California, but in San Diego. Yeah, definitely. So more post school singing opportunities, and we have some pretty fabulous ensembles that folks can go to once they graduate with their studies, if they choose to stay in town. Pre-graduate degree or during their graduate studies when they come here from out of state. So when folks come here to study choral conducting at SDSU, or when we have people in our voice studios who are ready to go out and do more things professionally, then we're sending them to Sacra Profana. We're sending them to the professional groups in town. But it would be great to have a more diverse body of groups to engage them in. That would be, you're right.
Yeah. And I mean, Carol is reminding us, so we have 78 member choirs for in the choral consortium. So it's not that San Diego lacks for choirs. So I don't mean to say that at all, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. What trends and challenges, Juan, do you anticipate for the choral arts in the next 5 years?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that's something we've all been thinking about very much, particularly in the last 2 years, dealing with the pandemic. I think, I'm slowly awakening to the idea that there will not be an after time. We will just live with, where we're at. And I think that part of the thing we're going to be really grappling with is the fact that people have just gotten out of the habit of going, participating in choir and going to choir concerts. When the pandemic first began, I felt like, as soon as this is over, people are going to be so hungry for the community that choir provides and to be able to go to concerts and things like that. And now that we see that it's like more of a slow transition back, I think people have just kind of gotten out of the habit. It's been long enough to kind of change those habits and things like that. So I think a big part of that is re-engaging. And in my view, I really do think that re-engaging community first off is the most important thing. For me, nothing can replace the community that a choir provides. Even a professional choir, but in school choirs or church choirs or whatever, I think any of us can sing on our own, and certainly we have had a lot more tools to be able to do that. Singing at home and recording things on our computer, and that's just not nearly as satisfying as making music with other people. So I think re-engaging that is going to be the primary focus for me.
Yeah, it's certainly been an interesting time for choral musicians these past 2.5 years. Some great things have come out of this. For example, we're all here from various parts of the city, able to gather online and engage in this discussion. And we had to work pretty quickly to pivot our teaching and to be able to like fill our curricula. And so we reached out to colleagues across the country, across the world to come in, and that's been pretty fantastic. And we were doing that before this, but it really our national our like national ability to reach out, meet, shake hands, and collaborate in even very small ways, I think has upped exponentially in the last 2.5 years. And so I see that as a positive. I think the choral field in some ways, its constituency is much more connected in some ways now than it was before, out of necessity. We've had to come together to reimagine and redesign our curriculums and how we engage with our groups, and so that's been something great that's come out of this. What some of the challenges obviously are, what does that retransition look like? I'm very grateful for the fact that we can sit here on Zoom and that we can be together, but there's something to be where was I reading this? Maybe there's something to be said for having to cross the threshold, I think, to engage in a thing. Homes have thresholds and they have lawns to separate a home from the non-home, and we put on suits and uniforms to do things. We put on these costumes to kind of cross these thresholds. And the idea that live music making has been transformed into something that is just consumption based, where you kind of click a button and there it is, despite however much work went into it, however much sweat and effort went into it on the part of the performing ensemble, like that to me is we're going to have to deal with that in some way, because the idea of making an effort to go to attend a concert, to attend live music, to be there, to sit there, to listen to something, and to sort of cross that threshold, that engages people in a very different way than 7:02, guess I better get onto Zoom to watch this thing, and then it just becomes kind of just consumptive in some ways. So I think we're going to be dealing with that and what that means for the field, and how organizations hold on to that in some ways, as as we deal with accessibility and as we deal with equity in that way, because those are all parts of the conversation as well. And then it's going to be really interesting to see how this affects K through 12 and what kind of ripple effect that has going forward, as everyone, if you're an elementary school kid, you've now gone through going on 3 years of this, and you've had no experience with singing maybe at all, or if you're a high school student, you've had a 3-year gap in your studies. So and people have been doing yeoman's work, holding the fort out there. So I'm really curious to see what that looks like. If it's not a snap, you're right. It's we're just kind of transitioning into what it will be, and how we all bolster the effort to kind of not get people up to speed, but meet folks where they are. That's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see in the next couple of years.
Definitely. I think, one of the things that's been certainly a challenge is, in this time, because we're all, we're dealing with trauma. Kind of a universal, trauma, but each experienced in our own ways, and just kind of, but it is so important to meet people where they are, and, our singers and what they bring to the table and what they're dealing with is difficult. And, it's been a divisive time and all that stuff. So very well said. Very well said. Okay. So my turn to ask a question. What was the most difficult piece you had to conduct, and why? How did you go about the process of completing the task? It's a good one for the other conductors and frankly, every musician there, but yeah.
The most difficult piece I had to conduct. I didn't conduct them in concert. I think the most difficult works I've had to prep were John Adams on the Transmigration of Souls, and Bill Bolcom's Prometheus. I don't know if you're familiar with that work, but a lot of sort of, it's dense and thorny and Sprechstimme, and So getting a choir not only to buy in, but then to be able to express that with any kind of accuracy. And then I'm not sure if you're familiar with John Adams, but it's bitonal all over the place, and it's very difficult to actually prep anything in that. And so that was an interesting challenge. How did I tackle it? I mean, it's a very boring. I could just study, just like study and prepare every waking moment, and kind of try to think of maybe some creative ways of asking the choir to do their homework, to show up to rehearsal, so that we could make music. Like there's this passage in the John Adams. I think it's some quintuplet against a quadruplet, and it's like it vacillates back and forth between like mixed meters, and so I came up with this walking exercise that the choirs could do as you're kind of walking from here to there in your day-to-day life, that you could take this very particular, so many years ago, that you took this like particular steps. I came up with like a rhythmic, almost like dance to do, so that the 5 against 4 kind of fits into that dance, and that everyone in the choir was supposed to kind of master that dance before they got back to the next rehearsal. And it worked. I think I got yelled at for making it too complicated for them, and like the person who was conducting it eventually said, "I'll just do it," and that worked out fine. But I think that was some of the most difficult works I've ever had to conduct.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel that, because one of the most difficult pieces that I've had to conduct is Voice Through Death. It's functionally atonal, and then lots of mixed meter, lots of like tuplets, the switches into 3/4, and then does a quartuplet, quadtuplet in the 3/4, that kind of stuff. But actually, I think for me, those, I basically, have the tools. It's kind of the same tools of breaking things down and stuff like that to do those pieces, to do that piece in particular. I think for me, some of the more difficult things to conduct have been like a little bit more avant-garde aleatoric pieces, where I am trying to interpret the score and teach it to the choir simultaneously. And sometimes I feel like the instructions from the composer are not all that clear. So you're trying to like interpret that and then get people to do things and take ownership. And one of my singers is right here, so she's laughing at that. And just like part of like with the aleatoric stuff is you just got to go for it. You got to you got to take ownership and do your thing. And so that can be its own difficulty, that rather than like the notated music, it's like, okay, well, let's break it down, slow it down, just do the rhythms, do the notes, that kind of thing.
Are these graphic scores you're talking about?
Some graphic scores, some kind of like hybrid combo scores. Of course, I would love to do like a program of Murray Schafer's stuff.
I was just
and then Katarina Gaiman, I don't know if you know her stuff, but she's got some beautiful scores that are kind of hybrids as well. But a couple of my colleagues and friends from UCSD will write stuff where it's like it starts off there, then you get like a set, and you're like, okay, now you have to pick one of these cell groups, and then and then go here, and like you point to the group, then they go, and then but they're already done, and that kind of stuff. So you're just trying to keep it's just crazy. But
and what a thrilling experience when you're working with an ensemble that can help make those decisions just based on being really sophisticated artists, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the problem is, I think part of the problem is that we've all grown up like reading the notated music, and so like creating the ownership of that stuff is like hard. Like you're giving them license, okay, like take it over, like you do your thing. I'm just a piece of the puzzle. But yeah, anyway, yeah, okay. I think you're up.
Okay, all right. What have you? Oh dear. Okay, what have you done to keep your spirits up during the pandemic, Juan?
Okay, so I mean, this is like a really, really important question. I'd love to like see what other people are doing like in the chat. So I found that like initially, I felt like doing something for the greater good was good to me. Like, I was willing to sacrifice performances and going out to eat and stuff like that, because I felt like we were all helping to end this thing, right? That was my initial thing. And that jumping into virtual choirs and Zoom rehearsals and stuff like that, I was going to do whatever I could to just keep people singing and keep people together and that kind of thing. And so for a while, that gave me definitely a sense of purpose and helped keep my spirits up, because I just felt focused on that task. Of course, that waned eventually. It's not sustainable, frankly, long term, that kind of energy and that kind of thing. So getting out and being outside, camping, hiking, backpacking, that definitely was a big part of it. But also, I think, I forget how long, Libby, you can maybe help me out. I think it was about a year into this, so I think we're coming up on a year. I decided to start a wizard rock band. And so do I need to explain what a wizard rock band is?
Yes.
So it's a band, like basically indie rock, and indie rock band, and the songs are set in the Potterverse. So, which is like now expanded, of course, beyond the initial books and movies and that kind of stuff. Just like any kind of fandom now. And so I got a group of my nerdy friends together, and we just started this like nerdy indie rock band. And so that's been fun to just work on stuff that's like not related to choral music and stuff like that, and to play my guitar and to use the newfound like recording skills that I have. So that's been fun.
Brilliant. And still a musical outlet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's, and again, like I feel like I'm just hardwired to do music. Like even when I'm not doing work music, I still think about other music, it's that kind of thing. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's see. What did I do to keep my spirits up? I mean, I did a lot of what everyone did. At the beginning, it was this drive to, stay productive, to produce in a. I might be frozen.
I gotcha. Yeah, you're there.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, to just kind of continue to try to work in the way that I was used to working, and again, that was not sustainable. And so, what did I do? I tried to read books that had nothing to do with music. I got into historical cooking. I got into some historical Iranian cooking, so that was quite fascinating. Just trying to gather approximate ingredients to try to make ancient duck with walnuts and pomegranates, and I a lot of outdoors activities. I was very thankful for my pod of friends, that they kept me really sane. And I think a big part of it was learning to kind of let go of that need to be hyper productive, especially because we'd come to San Diego, and I don't want this to become too sermony, but we'd come to San Diego, and you have you hit a new job, and you have so many things that you want to do, and you're kind of full of this kind of manic energy to get all of it going, and then that all slams to a halt, and you're like, what do I fill my time with now? And so kind of letting the guilt go of not being able to do those things, and learning how to kind of take that energy and not kill it, but kind of compartmentalize and just kind of leave it here and know that it's there, and kind of build the faith in it that it'll remain, and that it's not going to need much kindling when I'm able to kind of access that again. So letting go of the hyperproductivity and learning to kind of relinquish the guilt of not being productive. All of that was work that I did during the pandemic that I think has kept me really sane, has kept me being able to okay, I can do this.
Yeah. I'm glad my wife can't hear this, because she'd be like, see, that's what you need to do. Totally. Yeah. Okay. So I've got another question. Where can we find you and your choirs? Websites, email, upcoming performances, etc.?
Sure. So, Choral Consortium of San Diego does an amazing job of posting events for all choirs around town. It's pretty incredible. And you can find our events calendar through the San Diego State University website. You can also go to the La Jolla Symphony Chorus website and find our upcoming events there. What about you, Juan?
Yep, of course. Choral Consortium, great resource. And then sacraprofana.org and villagechurch.org are two websites. So certainly able to see what we're up to there, and Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. Yeah. Cool.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I believe we can go ahead and stop the recording and bring everyone out. You can turn your videos back on, come say hi. I know it sounds like